Hey everybody, it's Anna, and today I want to talk about another piece of Christian literature, and that is a parable, the parable of the wheat and the tares. So I think parables are really very good tools that Jesus uses. And it's because they're stories. And stories are, you can connect to a story in a different way and learn a different lesson depending on where you are in life. And so a parable will have multiple different possible lessons. And this one is definitely one of those. So if you are not familiar with the parable, basically it starts with a farmer who is sowing wheat into his field. And at night, his enemy comes and sows in some tares. And tares are basically weeds. And so as the crop grows, the servant begins to notice that there's wheat mixed in with the tares. And the servant goes to the master and says, "Hey, let's go and tear out all the tares." And the master says, "No, just leave them alone. Let them grow together because we don't want to hurt the wheat." And so when harvest time comes, we'll harvest all of it together, and then we'll divide out the tares and the wheat. And the tares will get burned, and the wheat will put into storage. Okay, so the basic lesson I learned from this when I was a child, and maybe the first lesson we get from this, is this idea of, okay, there's good people, and that's the wheat, and there's bad people, and those are the tares. And although we may see the bad people in our field with us, and we might want to get rid of them, the parable says, no, just leave them alone. Don't worry about them. Leave it to God. When everybody is harvested, God will divide the good people and the bad people, and the bad people will, I guess, go to hell, is then basically the lesson, and the good people will go to heaven. Now, this isn't a terrible lesson, because basically what it's telling us is to leave other people alone. Like, it's none of your business if someone's a wheat or a tare. And by the way, you can't always be sure, and that's what the farmer says. We might accidentally hurt the wheat. So instead of us taking any action at all, we're going to stand back, let everything grow, let everything have its life, and then let God sort it out. So as far as Christian lessons go, it's not a bad one, because it does sort of say, leave other people alone. Now, the problem with it, of course, is that it promotes self-righteousness and judgment, because there's this idea of you're always going to be asking yourself, I'm a wheat and they're a tare. You're going to still be judging yourself against other people, and that is inherently weakening spiritually. So the lesson leads to a weakened spiritual state, but it's better than actively going out and persecuting people, right? Okay, so another way to look at this parable is that each one of us is a field. And within each one of us, we have the wheat and we have the tares. So we have things that are really positive about ourselves. We have things that are not so positive about ourselves. And we might get very concerned with, how do we make ourselves better? How do we improve ourselves? And this parable would say, you know what? It's all good. Just be yourself, do your best. And then when the time comes, God will come and clear out all your tares, and you'll just be pure wheat. And that's an even better interpretation, because that basically takes out of the running any conversation we're having about other people. It's just about us and our own sanctification, okay? But the third meaning or lesson from the parable that came to me today is the idea of the farmer saying, how can you tell the wheat from the tares? Don't tear off the tares, because that might be wheat. It occurred to me that all of it is wheat. Like, everything in our lives, even the things that we might mistake as tares or as problems, are actually serving our higher good. And this comes from the perspective of our souls are in charge of orchestrating our lives, and our souls are bringing into our lives just the right balance of things to help us grow, to challenge us, and to help us really do our work we have on this planet. And so one of the chief teachings I've heard from so many of my spiritual masters is the lesson of non-resistance. Like, whatever comes, don't resist it. Try to accept it and invite it in, because you realize that as it's come into your life, it's come for a purpose. It's come for a good, a higher good. So resisting it means you're resisting the good that it's trying to bring. But of course, our first instinct when things happen that we don't want, or that we don't expect, or that seem bad to us, is we want to resist it. So this is actually a pretty difficult lesson that we learn. But I think this is like one of the elevated lessons. This is like, like spirituality 305, not 101, where we're trying to really understand that everything that comes into our lives is bringing with it a lesson. Now, it may take us a while to get to the lesson. It may take us a while to get to the healing. It may take us a while to get to the understanding. But if we can relax and trust it, we'll get there a lot quicker. And that's why I think it's so helpful to have people around us that help us stay calm. Like, I've definitely had elders in my life who just sat with me when I was panicking and said, all is well. And because they were so convinced all was well, I was able to relax. And the shift happened so much more quickly, because your soul is really not trying to torture you. Your soul is trying to help you. And if you can just be allies with your soul and understand it's working for your good, it happens so much more easily and so much more quickly. So that would be my current working with the parable, is about realizing in my own life, every time I hit a tear, I have to stop and say, no, how is it wheat? And since it is wheat, I would never really want to get rid of that tear, that thing that challenges me, the thing that scares me, or even rips up my existence of what I expect things to be. That thing is going to be a key to my salvation. And I think that many of us who've been through multiple spiritual walks now can see the places where the thing happened that we would so never want, and now we wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, because we can see how it opened up to something greater and bigger and more beautiful. So if we can carry that with us in our lives, not that it's going to be pleasant or easy, but that it is good for us, it is right for us, and we are prepared for it. Our soul brings things into our lives as we are prepared to engage them. So something in us is ready for this. We're not being thrown into the darkness. We are being led steadily into the path of mystery. I hope that's helpful for you today. See you next time. Bye.